Good Friday afternoon and welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. On the president's schedule today, various policy meetings and executive order signings. Of course, if anything opens up to the press, we'll take you to the Oval Office or to the White House. Specifically, we're going to get into Iran right now because President Trump had this to say this morning on Truth Social. Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately open, no tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. The president says all water mines, bombs, if any, will be terminated. We have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and/or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. President Trump says ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families for me, your favorite president. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago, sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the United States, which it is agreed is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability of doing so, in close coordination and conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and then destroyed. No money will be exchanged, the president says, until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. The president says, I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. That at about 10:51 local time there. So that post, a few hours old at this point, but that is, I believe, the latest post that we've seen from the president when it comes to the latest with Iran. Let's shift gears as we have a lot to get to today over the next couple hours. We'll be here live, of course, if the president has any open press availabilities or if there's any breaking news to report, we're here for you. Let's go now to a country artist who's been on the broadcast before, Kelly Lang, on this Friday. Kelly, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Matthew. Good to see you today.
You too. You too. So May 31st is a big day as your new song, This Too Shall Pass, will be released. So can you tell us about that song?
Well, it's a song that I wrote as an anthem in a way for people that are going through a really tough time to just hang on, hang on, hang on. That's what it keeps saying in this song. This too shall pass. But it's also a little bit of a warning for those of us having great days and celebrations to hang on to those even a little harder too, because those seem to go even quicker than the bad days sometimes. So it's just kind of a nice reminder to all people that we all go through the same type of events, and hopefully it will resonate with your hearts.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to see encouragement through music, through just quotes like that, you know, this too shall pass. Of course, keeping that even keel, no matter what goes on, it's not easy to do, but that's the key to it, isn't it?
That is the key. And it's hard, we all are having struggles. We all have hard days. And I don't care what you post on social media, you're not going to post the most negative of things that you're going through. But it's kind of a nice nudge for us to stop and smell the roses and part of the song. But it's also it's kind of a nudge of hope for, hey, if you just hang on one more day, it could get better tomorrow. And you never know until you get to tomorrow if it's going to be that for us. So, I just like to encourage people through my songs. And I'm just so grateful for opportunities to speak with people like yourself to give me this platform to do that.
100%. Let's talk about America 250 coming up. And I think I looked at the calendar there. 36 days from now, our country will be 250 years young. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh my goodness. I can still remember the 200th. So that's flying too, isn't it? It's so bizarre that this country is so well expanded and so seemingly forever here. And it's just still a baby. 250 years is really no time in the span of history, but wow, we've come a long way.
We sure have. All that freedom, all of the things that we have been able to be blessed with here in this country. I know we're talking country music, a little bit of politics here, but just your thoughts moving forward. I mean, that's something we have to keep focused, don't we? The freedom for our country, and also things like the Save America Act passing, to be honest with you.
Well, in the great words of Lee Greenwood, God bless the USA. That's all I can really say to that, because we are so blessed to be living here. If you travel abroad, you're able to see how indeed blessed we are with the freedoms that we do have, and I do not take any of that for granted.
And either do I. Thank you so much, Kelly Lang, country artist. Your new song coming out on May 31st, This Too Shall Pass, will be released on that day. Thank you again for what you're doing out there for the country.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you. All right, let's stick to that a little bit here on Right Side Broadcasting Network within the framework of the Revolutionary America. This is a new film or a new documentary that's coming out from Hillsdale College. So let's take a look at that for clip number 1.
Do you recollect the pensive and awful silence when we were called up one after another to the table of the President of Congress to subscribe what was believed by many at that time to be our own death warrants?
One of the features of the American Revolution was the Americans were fighting the biggest world power in existence at that time.
It was an attempt to prove that human beings are not condemned to be governed by force and accident.
The story of America is a unique story. Something happened that can actually never happen again.
A number of the founders were marked men. These were the leaders of a rebellion.
They're putting at risk their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. They would have all been hanged by the British.
It's not simply the matter of having the right law. You have to have the experience of liberty.
A republic, if you can keep it.
They had no other choice. This was life or death.
If we win freedom, it's always just one generation from extinction.
Stand your ground! If they mean to have a war, let it begin here!
Pretty cool stuff right there, of course, as we're getting ready to celebrate 250 years here in our country in 36 days from today. Let's go to a few of our sponsors in the meantime. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the warehouse moving sale is still ongoing. You can save up to 80% on a number of great products there with MyPillow. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Shall we talk about some of those products? Anything from the slides, slippers, pillows, the sheets, the towels, the dog bed, the coffee, and a ton of other great products there that you can check out. So MyPillow.com/RSBN is the place to go, and you'll get that huge discount as well using that RSBN promo code. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. We're here live. We're here for you. Thanks so much for joining us and also for donating to Right Side, as we, of course, are the solution to mainstream media here at Right Side within the conservative media ranks. And also a shout out to all of you out there, citizen journalists or podcasters, whoever's doing things for truth and freedom, you got my vote. So rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right, let's move on here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, as the LA mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt is really speaking our language. Let's take a look at a recent video his team posted as he tries to save Los Angeles.
Can we do that, Spencer? We don't have the money. Let me clue you in on a little secret. We have the money. It's just being stolen. You pay countless tax dollars. You're taxed on your income. You're taxed on your gas. You're taxed on your property. You're taxed out the... Every single expensive transaction you endure is taxed. Yes, hundreds of restaurants have shut their doors thanks to Karen Bass and Nithya Raman. Businesses are fleeing their terrible leadership, so revenue is decreasing. And I will turn that around, but we have plenty of money in this city. It's just being stolen. Our streets are a mess. Every day people pop tires. Their suspension is shot, all because our streets are left in utter neglect and disrepair.
Potholes can cause some pretty costly car repairs.
One pothole damaged as many as 10 cars.
More than a dozen vehicles damaged, many with blown out tires.
Both of my tires on the passenger side just blew out completely.
And the bend of my rim, I think bent my lower control arm.
Resident Francisco Garcia collected these hubcaps, evidence of the overnight damage.
The average cost of a pothole-related car repair is about $600, and it's something 1 in 10 drivers have to deal with.
We have not invested in our infrastructure, and this is the consequences.
These are beyond just potholes that have busted open under the negligence of Karen Bass. These are bass holes. But people ask, how can we fix the bass holes? We don't have the money. We do have the money. It's just being stolen. I met with the truckers who used to do this work for over 100 years for LA, paving our roads until Karen Bass came in.
The city hasn't repaved a single street since last July. They say the city's own data shows 0 miles resurfaced this past fiscal year, and the draft budget proposes 0 miles in the new year.
We're just completely failing at the most basic services at this point, keeping people safe and keeping our streets functional.
They used to do 600 miles of paving before Karen canceled their federal contract, and now the city just does 60 miles of paving. Also, now Karen Bass only does a fraction of the bass hole repairs that they did before her. Why? Well, in her first year as mayor, she stole the $100 million contract that the federal government gave to these truckers and gave the money to NGOs profiting off of the homeless drug addicts. We have the money, it's just being stolen. What about public safety? We have less firefighters today than we had in the 1960s, and yet the population of LA has doubled. But people ask, how can we hire more firefighters? We don't have the money. We do have the money. It's just being stolen. Right now, LAFD engines are so overwhelmed with responding to overdoses and rubbish fires, medicals, and arson fires coming entirely from the addicts on our streets. Because of Karen Bass' policies with the city attorney, LAFD has to send out an ambulance and a Type 1 engine to every overdose, every sprained ankle, every toothache. They are sending those big red trucks that you see fighting fires, all to shove Narcan up a homeless guy's nose. Those engines chew up about 30 gallons of diesel going on unnecessary runs.
If it calls for stub toe, toothaches, we do it all. Whatever it is, we're here.
Being a paramedic, we're the busiest resource on the fire department. I go on 15 to 20 runs a day. There's only 24 hours in a day, so if you're going on 20 calls, you guys do the math.
Across the department, we're wasting over $7 million every year on wasted fuel, not to mention all the wear and tear and extra miles on these engines that should have been retired to Mexico 10 years ago that are now breaking down, crashing, leaving us all in danger. Before the Palisades fire, the fire chief warned Karen Bass that they were dangerously underfunded and unable to keep Angelino safe. What did Karen Bass do? She cut the fire department budget by $17 million and gave it to, you guessed it, NGOs profiting off homeless drug addicts.
Budget cuts have, quote, severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires. You sent that warning about these budget cuts. We had a team on the ground, a crew there, and witnessed a number of homes burned to the ground, and there was not a fire truck in sight. How did that happen?
When there's a $17 million cut in our budget, operating costs, immediately from that point, I had to make some tough decisions.
Would that $17 million that had been cut from your budget have made a difference in this fight?
Yes, so I would say yes, we were limited to a certain factor, yes. We did exactly what we could with what we had.
We have the money, it's just being stolen. People ask, how can we treat the homeless? We don't have the money. We do have the money. It's just being stolen. Karen Bass and Nithya Raman have sunk billions of dollars into the homeless problem, but it's all being wasted on dubious NGOs that increase drug use, hand out needles and crack pipes, and actually give drugs to the addicts on the streets of LA. A developer bought a property for homeless housing at $11 million. Days later, the city paid him $27.3 million. A $16 million flip. No new carpets, no pool addition, just straight up fraud.
This is a property flip in West LA in the neighborhood of Cheviot Hills that was highlighted in a federal prosecutor criminal indictment announcement, actually, in this investor, Stephen Taylor, who purchased a property in West LA, purchased it for $11 million. He was at the same time selling it to Weingart Center for $27 million financed by taxpayers. The appraisal used to justify the price had inaccurate information. There was inaccurate information about the ownership of the property. And we also found that Mayor Bass's office, there was some emails from the city indicating that her office was had a big role in the selection of this property.
And this is just one of the many projects that needs to be audited and investigated.
A prominent homeless service provider, the Weingart Center, has been awarded over $100 million in taxpayer funds despite years of failing to comply with federal audit mandates.
When we asked the state controller's office, they say they don't review audits from nonprofits at all.
We have the money. It's just being stolen. As your mayor, I will get your damn money back. I will audit every city program. Every department is going to show us all of their books. We will have forensic auditors come in and track down every last dollar. We have the money. It's just being stolen. It's like the inverse Robin Hood. Government is stealing from you and making themselves rich.
No.
Money that could go to lowering your rent, cleaning your streets, keeping you safe. You paid it. It's your tax money. It should be working for you. Pratt Man is coming to get it back.
Well, there you go. Spencer Pratt running for mayor in Los Angeles. If you joined us yesterday, you heard from people on the West Coast speaking about the city of Los Angeles, the county there, and what needs to be done to turn that city around, if that's even possible. But having someone like Spencer, having Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco, two Republicans running for governor in California, you never know. It might happen. I mean, we believe in miracles, right? Let's do it. Let's see what happens there in Los Angeles. In the meantime, before we get to some more of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, let's shift gears now and go to Dr. Jeremy Levin to speak with us about his new book, Biotech in the Balance. Thanks so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Definitely. So I hear this book is calling on the industry to reform so Americans are never left without the medications or medicines that they need when they need them. Can you expound on that?
Yes. We built one of the world's leading engines for new medicines and innovation since 1947. It is the center for new medical inventions in the world. However, over the last several years, the foundations of that have begun to shake. And the industry needs to take account for its part in it, but also legislation needs to be considered which will bolster us. Because if we don't do it, innovation won't stop. It'll simply migrate outside of this country, and in addition to which capital will migrate out, and we'll find ourselves in 3 to 5 years suddenly having to import our medicines from other countries. And that's the core of the book.
Exactly. So when we look at that right now, when you see RFK Jr. at HHS with MAHA, when you see the president working with various companies, I mean, what's your assessment on that as a doctor and as an author?
Well, first of all, we should take it from a very American perspective. I think the bottom line is we should be incredibly proud of having built an amazing industry called biotech. Nobody quite knows what it even is, though. It's that engine that breaks down cells and makes medicines from those cells. But underlying all of that was a scientific base in America, which was unparalleled. And legislation and various effects over the last 10, 15, 20 years have actually begun to deteriorate significantly the science in our country, the way we actually develop medicines at the FDA, and finally, how we actually think about it and even talk about it. At the core of that is the reduction in funding for pure science. In addition to that, you have the very fundamental shakeup that occurred at the FDA, which is now really quite troublesome. Over 20% of the people were fired over a period of 3 months with nobody caring what they did, how they did it, and who did it. For you and me, that's not good. Then in addition to which, in 1 year, we've lost 90% of all of the leadership there. That is a loss of incredible talent and experience. We can't afford that. You can't change institutions like that. Institutions always should change, but you can't do it that way. So the result of that is there's uncertainty now permeating not just science, but also how we develop drugs. And that's bad for America. Actually, it's interesting. If we look back in the last administration, last time President Trump was president, we had a wonderful example of how it all comes together. And it came together under his leadership in Warp Speed. In Warp Speed, we saw something remarkable, taking 20 plus years of science, welding it together, making the FDA work incredibly efficiently, and delivering a vaccine. And that vaccine was all due to biotechnology. Had it not been invented, had we not had that 20 years of science, that incredible focus, we could never have done what we did. Unfortunately, 1.3 million Americans died, but it would have been 10, 20 million had we not got this in place. And worse yet, we would have been asking other countries for a vaccine. Not a great situation. Today, we've forgotten those lessons.
Well, if I would look at some of the live chat right now on maybe Rumble, maybe YouTube, I can guarantee you we'd be seeing things in the contrary toward the vaccine. And I have to be honest about that and transparent because that's part of what we do here in the media. What would you say to how Dr. Fauci handled himself? Is he someone that you respect, that he is someone that should have more respect from the American people?
Wrong person to even focus on, to be perfectly honest. You need to go back some way back to a doctor who published a fallacious and false account in The Lancet, one of the premier magazines, medical magazines in the world. That doctor basically laid out that there was a link between MMR and autism. He knew it was false. It was proven to be false. And yet, The Lancet kept it on its books without retracting it for 12 years. I'm not surprised that the average American is sitting there saying, I'm a little bit puzzled about how vaccines work or don't work, because you had a moment in time where we could have stopped this nonsense in the beginning by simply saying, this guy is a fraud, we all know that, and we should never have published it. So for me, I sympathize immensely with the families tussling with the absolute tsunami of false information around this. You can't have anything other than say, you guys have just had such a tough time on this. So it's not any one individual. I credit President Trump for Warp Speed. That was remarkable. And I think we could do the same thing again in many other areas. What I don't want to see is us to lose the understanding that we got there, that America is the leader in biotech, should remain the leader in biotech. And in order to do that, we need to bolster the core foundational features of that science. Because if we don't, the next time we have something sweep over our borders, we're just not going, we will have given up the battlefield.
The thing I really like about America and we the people is it's one of those things, just like Secretary of War Pete Hegseth did recently, that pulling the mandate of any kind of vaccine in the sense of if they have to, if someone wants to choose to have one, that's their choice. If they don't, they don't. And I think that's what I think a lot of people can agree on when it comes to the whole vaccine argument, specifically no mandates. Do you agree with no mandates, that people should choose if they want one or not?
I think everybody should have a choice of what they do across all medicines, by the way, all medicines. Any medicine is the choice of the individual. Every time, my philosophy is very simple. Every time you give a medicine to somebody, you change their lives. I don't care what it is. Aspirin, Tylenol, doesn't matter. So the covenant that those of us who develop drugs have, and this is the vast majority of us, is you have to have the best evidence-based medicine that you can possibly get. So if there's evidence that it works, if there's evidence that it doesn't do harm, then you really must try and teach people that. It's about teaching people about the benefits that you get from it. Then they make a choice. And that's often sometimes the wrong choice, but it's more important that they get the information straight.
And it's important to have the people that are speaking truth into these situations because, you know, you look at the Bible, you see Luke in the New Testament. He was a doctor. We get it. And there's a need for doctors and nurses. Thank God for doctors and nurses. Thank God for ibuprofen sometimes. You know what I mean? If you have a headache, those kind of things. I know it's much different than a vaccine, but it's still an interesting thing to look at when it comes to what is maybe being pushed on us versus what is right for us to do. And it's a very, very confusing world, of course, as you know. Why don't we end with this? I know that you wrote that new book about biotech. What kinds of breakthroughs outside of a vaccine or that kind of thing are you guys looking at now when it comes to manufacturing pharmaceuticals?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that we are absolutely fundamental leaders in. We are the fundamental leaders in the world of understanding what are the pathological, the basic reasons for a disease occurring. So number one, we're going to have a breakthrough. I am certain of this in Alzheimer's. That is going to happen. We're going to have breakthroughs in how you use AI to develop and discover new drugs. And all of this is in front of us. So AI, big deal for this area, how to get drugs more efficiently, how to build them more efficiently, how to process them more efficiently. And the funny thing is about manufacturing, everybody kind of thinks it's boring. It is. I've been there, I've seen hundreds of factories, but it's absolutely the core of the industry. And at its core, we are the best innovators in the world. And I believe that if we could incent people here to do innovative manufacturing in the United States, we wouldn't be doing the kind of things that we did in the past, which is industrial colonialism, sending manufacturing abroad where there's cheap labor. We'd be doing it in high-tech places across the United States. Every single state could do it, and we would have something to show the world for it. And I'm hoping that's what will come. I'm hoping that's what we will do.
Dr. Jeremy Levin, author as well. Biotech in the Balance is the new book. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you for your time.
You too. All right, it's almost the bottom of the hour as we are on this Friday, May 29th. Thanks so much for live streaming in with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go over to one of our great sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. Americans are tired of being told to wait or jump through endless hoops just to access the medications they may already know they need. If your health is your responsibility, why does it feel like someone else is always in control? That's why more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy, whether it's everyday maintenance medications, common antibiotics, or simply being prepared before travel or emergencies. All Family Pharmacy makes the process simple, fast, and secure. No crowded waiting rooms, no unnecessary hassle, just a convenient way to order your medications online from a trusted U.S. pharmacy focused on helping families stay prepared. Because the reality is shortages, they happen. Delays happen, emergencies, unfortunately, they just happen. And peace of mind starts with being proactive, not reactive. So right now, when you visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use promo code RSBN10, you'll save 10% off your order. And being prepared, of course, isn't extreme. It's simply common sense. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN10 promo code at checkout. Let's also go to Birch Gold Group, specifically when there are these supply constraints that are happening out there on commodities. Prices, unfortunately, they surge. You see it with the fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. We also know that gold is a limited commodity. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. So now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to that number you see on your screen there, 989898. So Birch Gold can actually help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So just text Trump to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, text Trump to 989898 today. All right, it is 2:30, and let's move on now as we saw a political ad from Spencer Pratt moments ago. And if you've been watching the political ads on X, he has some of the best AI political ads that I've ever seen. But speaking of great political ads, and since today is Friday, let's do a flashback Friday. Let's go to Grand Rapids, Michigan a couple years back, where we were covering President Trump's rally live in Grand Rapids.
You can see the video right now. There's Mount Rushmore. Awesome, awesome sight in Rapid City, South Dakota. President Trump, this is one of the most powerful political ads that I've ever seen, showing the fake news. And of course, right there with all of the soldiers, with President Trump walking out. Awesome, awesome, powerful video. Obviously, looking at the border there, build the wall. We heard that chant earlier today outside of this arena.
We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with American pride swelling in our hearts and American courage stirring in our souls, I say these words to you tonight. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
What an awesome, awesome moment.
I remember it like it was yesterday, and I literally do, because it was a week after President Trump faced what he faced in Butler, Pennsylvania in June of 2024. And then, of course, a week later, 7 days later, we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan. President Trump said the show must go on. He was there, the vice president at the time, the candidate, J.D. Vance, there. That arena was electric. So back to my point. The political ads, that one is one of my favorite of all time, the one there from President Trump and his team there. We actually interviewed the people that made that ad some time ago. But back to Spencer Pratt now. He's using AI to make these really good ads that resonate, I think, with all of us. I know he's running for mayor in the city of LA, and it has nothing to do with Iowa or Georgia or New Jersey, but still, I'm cheering him on. Why not? Sounds like someone better than Karen Bass any day of the week. Let's continue Flashback Friday, just because it's fun and it's Friday, and we'll get to some of the news, we'll get to some more interviews. We started our broadcast with President Trump's latest Truth Social post about Iran and the fact that President Trump said about 2 hours ago he was in the Situation Room at the White House. So if there's any update there, we'll bring that to you. If the president has any open press availabilities that are currently closed press, right now he has policy meetings on the schedule. He has executive orders that he'll be signing in about an hour from now. That is closed press, but you know what? Maybe it'll open up after what's going on today with this possible Iranian deal. We'll see. But let's go back to Flashback Friday. Here's President Donald J. Trump a few more times from a few different clips here on Right Side.
The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. No voter ID. Why won't they approve voter ID? We want to have. Why? The only reason they won't approve voter ID is because they want to cheat. There's no other reason. With your support, on Monday, January 15th, we're going to win the Iowa caucuses in a historic landslide. We're going to crush crooked Joe Biden. We're going to crush crooked Joe. Next November, we're going to make America great again in the most important election in the history of our country.
Wow. All those rallies and speeches that we covered here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So that wraps up our little bit of a Flashback Friday event or segment here on Right Side. But meantime, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is overseas meeting with our warriors on the USS Boxer on the open sea. So let's check out clip number 6.
It's an honor to be here. This is the best view, I'm convinced, looking out at all of you. It's not me, it's you guys. It's all of you. It's what you're ready to do. It's what the world knows you're prepared to do. You could be doing a lot of other things. You choose to serve. You choose to serve this great country in uniform, in harm's way, on behalf of the American people. And because of what you do, And how you do it, I can sit at a table and talk about American deterrence and American strength. Godspeed in your mission. You got a lot of good stuff ahead. On behalf of the American people, we're with you all the way. Go get them. God bless. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Speaking of our military, we recently caught up with retired Marine Mark Geist. Let's go to that interview right now. We'll go to a commercial quickly. We'll have the interview on the other side of the break.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, we're going to go back to that Mark Geist interview here shortly. Thanks so much for watching here on Right Side. So also, if you'd like to follow us on Truth Social, just go to @RSBN, or on X, it's @RSB Network. So two great places to follow Right Side. I believe that Mark Geist interview is ready to roll, and let's go to it right now. And joining us now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network is a great patriot, a retired Marine who was part of the Annex security team during the 2012 Battle of Benghazi and played a key role in defending the compound. Mark Geist joins us once again. Thank you so much for your service, and thanks again for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Definitely. So let's talk about, of course, Memorial Day earlier this week. How do you get through Memorial Day as a retired member of the military yourself?
You know, I think because a lot of people, you know, they when they think of Memorial Day as being as sad, and it does have that part of it, but more than anything, for me, it's a time to be proud of all of those that have been willing to sacrifice their life for us to have the lives that we have. And that's really what we got to remember. I mean, it's sad that they had to do that. They gave that sacrifice in its fullest extent. But they did that because they believed in that's what was the right thing to do. And I think that's where, at least me as a veteran and a lot of the friends that I am with, that's kind of the way we look at that is, you know, I feel for their loss, and I wish they were here, but I know they're in a better place, and I know that they did it. They went out like you should. I mean, no better way to go out than fighting the evil that's out there trying to do us wrong.
Yeah, and definitely for the freedom for this nation, number one defender of it through our United States Armed Forces.
Yep.
Also, when we're looking at things like, you know, faith throughout all of this, you know, that's something that I'm sure, you know, they say that saying is there's no atheists in foxholes. That's true, isn't it?
You know, it sure is. And I think that you see that a lot. I always tell people that if, you know, my way of evangelizing is I'd like to bring people out to the shooting range, and I'll put them down range, and I'll shoot at them and give them a come to Jesus moment.
That's one way to do it. Definitely right there. But outside of all of that. As we look at some of the things going on in our country, we know that a Democratic Senate candidate, Graham Plattner, I guess recently deleted a post on X where he actually mocked a video of a U.S. soldier during a clash with the Taliban back in 2012. So what's your reaction to a post like that from someone, let alone someone running for office, talking like that against our U.S. armed forces?
You know what? And it bugs me a lot. Just seeing, not only that, is just seeing where this country is going with politics. I'm consulting on Victor Marx's campaign. He's running for governor here in Colorado, and he is going to be our next governor. I can tell you that out there. But when we were at the assembly, we were walking up and down the line, shaking hands, meeting people, and they were all Republicans. It was a Republican assembly, and this lady, really kind of vile, was talking about Victor. And I said, hey, we're all Republicans, but I mean, let's cut out the vileness. I love heated debate, but let's be respectful of one another. And she turned to me and she said, well, you're just not Republican enough. And I was like, just thinking through my head that, I wonder if she knows who I am, and she'd probably not say that, but just like with Planner, he's speaking out of the side of his mouth, most likely being rude, crude, socially unacceptable, and it's just inappropriate. I mean, why we have to get to that point in our lives where we are going to be not only degrading somebody, but it's really more disrespectful to themselves that you talk and act like that. And we got to change that in this country.
Yeah, we do, definitely. We see a lot of that going on, unfortunately, but thank God for being on the right side of history. People that are like you, like me, and the massive majority of this nation, God-fearing people, love family, love the country, love freedom, love America. And we're going to talk about America 250 here in just a second, all about July 4th, all about 1776 to 2026 and hopefully beyond. But before we get to that great topic, I want to talk to you about something that I saw on your X account, specifically veterans who commit suicide. Mm-hmm. What is the number one thing that you think needs to be done to help combat that? Is it faith and mental health therapy? What's the combination?
I think there's a lot of wonderful programs out there and nonprofits that do a lot of help with our veterans. But we're still not reaching them all. And I think, we're leaps and bounds from where we were, 10 years ago. But we have to always strive to be better. And I think that's one, making sure that we reach out, make sure that we stay in contact with those that are hurting and open our doors to bring them into that. And not literally or physically, but emotionally we need to, and faithfully we need to be actively pursuing and reaching to those people that may be suffering. And and unfortunately, a lot of the guys they don't want to talk about it. My nonprofit Shadow Warriors Project, we run a K9 program where we bring in between 5 and 10 veterans. We pair them up with a service dog. We introduce them to Christ. We use the dog to teach them how to manage their anxiety and their stress. And then biggest thing is we make them tell their story, and not just their life story, their combat story, but their life story. And what I've found through the 10 plus years that I've been doing this is that the majority of the veterans that suffer the most from PTSD have unresolved trauma from when they were children. And, we got to take care of our veterans that have served, but we also got to think about taking care of our veterans that are serving or going to be serving in the future. And a lot of that for me is, if you're a father, be a strong father, be that example for your kids and give them that security and safety, because that gives them a whole lot more compassion and understanding when it comes to being an adult. And, and it also protects them from being trafficked, because, trafficking children right now is horrendous, and we have to make a difference in that.
100%. I can't see anybody disagreeing with that. Can you share with us the website where people can go if someone's watching this and they say, hey, I know someone that's a veteran or maybe a veteran's watching? What's the website again?
It's www.shadowwarriorsproject.org. And we'd love for anybody to check us out. If you can drop a dollar, that would be wonderful. You're going to be helping somebody that needs help, and know that your work is going to be through us into somebody that really can make a difference.
That's awesome. That's great to hear that. And let's wrap up the interview talking about America 250. When July 4th happens, and when we see the fireworks, whether you're going to be in DC or whether you're watching something live, and you think about our country, what thoughts will you have?
Mainly pride. You know, I go back to thinking of a couple songs, really. Johnny Cash wrote a song, Ragged Old Flag. It was actually redone by Charlie Daniels. And I actually had a part in redoing that and a part in the ballad of that. But because, you know, with Ragged Old Flag, it ended after Vietnam. We wanted to make sure that it honored everyone that had been in the desert since. And, you know, the flag has been beaten. It's been tromped on. It's been had holes blown through it. But if it still flies, it still stands above, taller than any other flag in the world. It's always the senior flag. And that's the country. That's what we got to get back to, is the love of our country, and get rid of this hate that has been really just seems like it's been infiltrating every part of our lives. And, you know, we can all disagree, but we just can't hate each other. And because when we start hating each other, then we start doing things that we shouldn't be to each other. And that's even worse than, you know, we've had 3 attempts on the president's life. You know, that kind of thing is done because of the spiritual warfare that's happening in this country, and it needs to stop. And only we, through the Lord Jesus Christ, can get that done. Amen.
Retired Marine Mark Geist, thanks for what you're doing for this country. Thank you for your service. And I want to just say it again to you. When I say thank you, we mean that specifically too for that nonprofit that you're working to help veterans out there. Thank you for doing that, because people need help, and it's not weak to say you need help. If you've gone through something that's traumatizing, if you have PTSD, I mean, that's something that you should probably get some assistance on through the power of the Holy Spirit, but also organizations like yours. So thanks again for what you're doing for the country, and thanks for your friendship to this network.
Thank you. God bless, and you have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Thank you, sir. All right, let's move on to some of our great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including what you're about to see on your screen, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, the QR code is right there for you. The app. Also, you can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. A ton of trending topics that people are betting on, trading, checking out polls. You can check it out if you'd like as well. Now, it's not only politics, things like the mayoral race in Los Angeles or the gubernatorial race there in the Golden State in California. All across this country, a lot of different trending elections or primaries or just various things that people are talking about. Outside of politics, of course, there's sports and weather and science, technology, all sorts of stuff that you can check out at Kalshi.com. More than 1 million users on there, and that number is growing. So let's move on to one of our other sponsors here on Right Side. As you guys know, you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and if the water scares in Flint, Michigan and East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to make you switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down, and then they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But this is the part that's making a number of people upset because, you know, the EPA set legal limits for PFAs in drinking water back in 2024. But water systems have until 2031 to comply. That's a whole 5 years from now. And until that deadline arrives, the utility can be operating above the legal limit right now, and they're not required to notify you about it. So you're just drinking that water. That's why every single household needs Cove Pure. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it yet. Recently, we're told that the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin actually announced a $1 billion grant for smaller communities out there to get rid of all of those forever chemicals. So, in the meantime, if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do it yourself, because Cove Pure was actually engineered exactly for this. Unlike those normal pitcher filters that you see out there at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology, it's actually certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So there's PFAs, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And then on top of that, Cove Pure makes this really easy. It sits right on your countertop there. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. So don't wait till 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of this network, you'll get $250 off. All you have to do is go to covepure.com/RSBN. Get the ball rolling there. Check out this great product and a great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, it's 2:51 Eastern Time. Thanks again for joining us here live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have more to go here on the network, and including the following. Hillsdale College and the White House are providing us another Flashback Friday to a video about our Declaration of Independence, as we're 36 days until 250.
Hello, my name is Larry Arnn. I'm the president of Hillsdale College, which is honored to be working with the White House to produce these videos in honor of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the greatest political document in human history. Our college was founded in honor of that document. We encourage you to love it and to celebrate it. And to celebrate it, you should learn about it. We're going to talk about two things: the meaning and the structure of the Declaration of Independence. First question is, what does it mean? Things have causes. There's a classical account of the causes of things that include four. The efficient cause means whoever made it. The material cause means whatever it's made out of. The formal cause means what does it look like and how does it operate? And the final cause is what is it for? What love produces it? Declaration of Independence contains a lot of information about the formal cause of America in the middle, but its chief function is to provide the final cause of the country. What is the country for? And it begins very beautifully by explaining that. It says that any time in history, any people in history have a right under the laws of nature and of nature's God to form a nation according to purposes that they adopt. What are these laws of nature and nature's God? What does that mean? The Christian view is that God made nature. The classical view is that each being has a good, and the good and the being are the same thing. Nature is full of things that are good, and it's wrong to violate the good of anything. What do these laws say about people? They say that they're all created equal. Think what a remarkable thing it is for a people to adopt a standard like that as their purpose, as their governing purpose. And we did that in opposition to a king who claimed that he was born to be our ruler because he was better born than we are. He was denying the proposition that all men are created equal. If you recognize this principle of equality and you recognize it properly, it will give rise to the most amazing diversity and difference among people, because it sets up a right of all of us to pursue our lives best we can, without impediment by kings and emperors. We said, in the laws of nature and nature's God, no one is born to rule anybody else. That's beautiful. And it sets up an agitation in the country which goes on to this day to always try to recognize those principles. And that's the final cause of the United States of America. Now a word about the structure of the document. It begins with this universal claim that we're all created equal and that nobody may rule us except by our consent. And in the middle bit they claim the king has done a bunch of bad stuff that justifies the revolution. He took houses away from people. and put troops in them. That means they were dislodged. They were driven out into the street. He arrested people. He put them on ships, and the ships were not very comfortable. They were in the hold of the ship. Sometimes they sat around for weeks in the harbor, and they were taken all the way to England. Most of them had never been there before, and they were put on trial in front of people who they never met before, not a jury of your peers. This is the 25th paragraph. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He did kill people. And then he'd talk about the mercenaries there. Large armies of foreign mercenaries, those were the Hessians, to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely parallel in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. But then that leads us to the second thing about this structure point, and that was some of them are direct violations of the best method, the founders argued the only sure method, to keep the government from doing things like that to you, to its citizens, to anybody, right? And those methods are, they provide the organizing principle of the Constitution of the United States. They are representation. You know, the Continental Congress that passed the Declaration of Independence took great pains to be a representative body. That is to say, they're not acting according to their own wills. Somebody else, those who will be governed under this new government that they're creating, have appointed us to do this. We are acting for them. We have government by consent. And they say that the king is interfering with the legislatures that they had had before. He dissolved several of them, and he prevented others of them from meeting. And those are all in these charges here, right? He has obstructed government by consent. Then he's messed around with the judicial branch. And that means that the legislature has to pass a law, and then the executive enforces only the laws that have been passed. And then when the law is applied upon any citizen, he has to be taken in front of a judge who's not dismissible by the legislature or the executive. And then the judge has to decide. That's called the independent judiciary. It's a terribly important thing. So the middle bit of the Declaration, these 28 paragraphs, is the second part of the structure of the Declaration of Independence. And the third part is a formal legislative act that makes the nation. It's passed by the Continental Congress. I should mention that God appears 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. He appears in the first sentence as the maker of the laws of nature and nature's God, the legislator. He appears in the beginning of the second paragraph as the endower of our rights as creator, the founder of everything. The last paragraph is personal. They refer to themselves for the first time. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States, we, in General Congress assembled. And then they appeal to somebody to judge whether they're right. And that person is not the King of England. It's the supreme judge of the world, the judicial branch. For the rectitude of our intentions, in other words, we swear we're doing what seems right, and we ask God to judge. In the name of the good people of these colonies. You can read it as a claim that the people of the colonies are good. You can read it as a claim that we're acting for the good ones. Or you can read it as the claim we have to remember to be good because we are assuming this authority now. Free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war. Now we get to the hard thing. Conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do, And then the beautiful last sentence. This is where the executive branch comes in. Because see, now it's war. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. That's God as the executive branch. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Only in the hands of God would all the powers of government be combined. Those men in that room, the same room where the Constitution would later be written by some of the same people, we mutually pledge to each other everything we've got. We Americans today owe those people. We should learn about them. Thank you.
All right, so it's just past the top of the hour. We did see that there is some breaking news out of Detroit after a driver has been arrested after crashing a vehicle into the Warren Evans terminal at Detroit Metro Airport. Right now, the driver arrested. It was simply a vehicle going into the terminal there. It doesn't look like there are any injuries, so we're keeping our eye on that story. As we continue our live broadcast here, let's go to some of our sponsors, including All Family Pharmacy, because Americans, of course, were tired of being told to wait or jump through endless hoops just to access the medications people may already know they need. And if your health is your responsibility, why does it feel like someone else is always in control of it? That's why more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy, whether it's everyday maintenance medications, common antibiotics, or simply being prepared before travel or emergencies. All Family Pharmacy makes the process simple, fast, and secure. No crowded waiting rooms, no unnecessary hassle, just a convenient way to order your medications online from a trusted U.S. pharmacy focused on helping families stay prepared. Because the reality is, shortages happen, delays happen, emergencies happen, and peace of mind starts with being proactive instead of reactive. So right now, when you visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, you can use that RSBN10 promo code. You'll get 10% off at checkout off your order there. Being prepared, of course, isn't extreme. It's just common sense. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and save that 10%. Some great things there at All Family Pharmacy for those of you that are looking for medications and going around the whole long wait lines out there. You can get All Family Pharmacy instead, a lot quicker. All right, let's also go to Birch Gold Group, because when there are those supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. It's cause and effect, right? Well, you saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And we know gold is also a limited commodity. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's simply gone. Governments can't just print more of it. And that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years, but really never still moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Just text Trump to that number, 989898, to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, text Trump to 989898. All right, so we know that the president has some policy meetings today. He's also signing some executive orders in about 26 minutes from now, according to the president's schedule. We also know that he posted earlier on Truth Social about being in the Situation Room as he's figuring this out when it comes to a possible deal with Iran. So if we hear anything, we'll bring that to you. And we'll get back to that Truth Social post in just a little bit. In the meantime, let's go to a doctor, another doctor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Dr. Ashley Lucas joins us. She's the founder and president of PhD Weight Loss. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Lucas.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Definitely. I know last time we were on, we talked a little bit about MAHA, but for our viewers that maybe didn't see that interview, can you talk to us about your support or your thoughts of making America simply healthy again?
It's been my passion for 20 years. I had my own struggle with health and weight, and I just really feel deeply if we are not at our best physicality, we don't have our best energy, our best vitality, we can't be the strongest nation. And so I'm just very excited about what's happening with the MAHA movement. I love the new food pyramid. I love to see meat up there at the top, healthy fats. I'm just, I couldn't be more thrilled, and I have more hope than I have had for so long when it comes to our health and well-being.
That's awesome. And then when you parlay that into PhD weight loss, what kinds of results are you seeing there with people that sign up with you guys?
Oh my gosh. We've to date helped over 13,000 people collectively drop more than 480,000 pounds. Our men drop about 3.5 pounds per week. Our women 2 to 2.5 pounds per week without medication. I feel that my biggest responsibility is to empower people to step up, to better their lives, but become self-sufficient. I don't want us to be dependent on big food or big pharma or anything. I want us to feel empowered that we can create this change within ourselves without anything from the outside, just a real understanding of how our body works, how our metabolism works, and then, of course, looking at the lifestyle pieces as well.
And it can be a very confusing world, can it? I mean, you have somebody that comes to your program and they're like, well, I don't even know which way to look, which way's up, which way's down, and you guys kind of steer the people. Can you give a little bit about what you guys do there specifically? I know you have different things that you have there.
Sure. So number one is we need to look at the food, and the food is different per individual. We're all unique. Where our metabolism is, what we tolerate, what we like, what we don't like depends on you. So we create a specific customized meal plan for each individual to get their body into this safe state of fat burn where it feels good. There's no cravings. There's no hunger. It really does feel liberating. And then from there, we continue to tweak your meal plan as you go. We have weekly coaching and accountability. As your body drops weight, your needs change. So it's a very dynamic process. And then, like I've mentioned before, so much of it comes from the mind. So we think about our triggers and the way we think about food and how we move our bodies. So it's a very holistic perspective. And from my clinical experience, there's something magical that happens at 16 weeks. 16 weeks just gives the body enough time, I believe, to start healing, where we can let go of medications, where we can reverse lots of these quote unquote chronic progressive diseases. Like a lot of our folks, the majority of people who come in with type 2 diabetes don't have that condition when they leave. So that's what I love the most, is taking individuals who feel like there is no hope and they're really dealing with ill health and completely making a U-turn.
What I've seen from RFK Jr., the Secretary of HHS, of course, and the MAHA King of sorts, is really going after whether it's the coloring dyes or the food dyes, but also the toxins and all of that. Can you talk to us about the toxins when it comes to if it's in those kinds of foods and we kind of get addicted to that? How do you get it? I mean, yes, we understand, eating chicken tenders that are processed, man, it might taste good quickly, but is there something within that that addicts us to it?
Have you ever heard of the bliss point?
No.
Okay. So this big, these big food companies have manufactured this specific point with food. It's called the bliss point, where they have designed it in a way that creates this neurochemical dysregulation, really, where it's hyper palatable, it's highly addictive, and we have a really, really hard time saying no. So it's like the perfect crunchiness, the perfect saltiness, spiciness. Doritos, for example, on purpose puts in their bag like 1 out of every 7 to 8 chip is extra spicy and extra coated in that seasoning. So for our human brain, we're in there and we keep digging and eating one chip after another, trying to get to the next highly coated, specifically perfect quote unquote chip. And so that's what all of these food companies have done, is they've engineered these foods so that it drives the human brain to just want more. So yes, these additives, these chemicals, these processings, dyes, all of that works together to just kind of put our human brain on overdrive. So we really can't think about, oh gosh, is this the wisest choice for me?
So with you guys, with this program, so it sounds like you kind of steer people toward how much to eat, what to eat, all the things, and that's a diet, we know, but then you guys have a coach, it sounds like, per week for a person. But the other part of it is the behavioral tendency, right?
Yeah.
The comfort food and all that. Do you guys do anything that kind of, I don't know, works on that aspect of it too? Because the root of it is coming from somewhere, right?
Yeah, you have great questions. I believe that the root of it probably stems from a lot of different things, but the biggest thing is it becomes an identity. And it's really difficult. It can be easy, but it can be really overwhelming to create a new identity. And that's what we're working on day in and day out. It's a daily process of understanding, okay, here are the habits and the lifestyle habits and the way of eating and the way I've thought about food for a very, very long time. But let's retrain these neural pathways in the brain, which is totally possible, by the way, and retrain them so that we can have a new identity. I actually was just chatting with a client on visualization. It might sound crazy, but there's a lot of research out there. Actually, there was a study looking at a group of people who visualized themselves lifting weights and another group who actually did lift weights. And the people who just visualized gained as much muscle mass as those who actually lifted weights. So there's a lot around visualization. We know the top athletes in the world visualize themselves doing the sport. Same things goes with if you are trying to drop weight. Visualize yourself as your future identity. And when you do that and you feel those feelings, you see it, you bring all of your senses into that moment of what your future identity looks and feels like, then you can make wiser decisions today. So yeah, definitely a big thing there is creating this new identity.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people might be listening to you and be like, whoa, that sounds like new age or whatever. But I mean, I agree with you definitely on the visualization aspect. I mean, that's something that is a powerful tool to use.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that, let me just say it like it is here. Usually we hear maybe from someone like yourself that talks about, here's what you should eat, you shouldn't eat, you should do this, you should do that, work out. But you actually go a step further with the mind, which is pretty awesome. And so can you kind of just share with us finally just the overall goal of how to really do this? Because it's an uphill climb, and we have fast food restaurants everywhere. Listen, I like going to get a burger, I like eating certain things. But it's not the best for me. So what would be your pitch to the American people that are watching, whether they're watching live or on replay right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, if you think about the human body as I think one of the most amazing miracles that we've been given. And my husband, he comes from a genetic background of morbid obesity. It's just in his genes. And so he really looks at himself and he'll say, this food is not going in this temple. And so I think if you view your body just like this thing that you've been given, this beautiful gift, like how would you feed it? How would you fuel it? What do you deserve? You actually deserve the good food, right? You deserve so much more than the Bojangles or the Doritos, right? And if you want to live the most vibrant, healthy, longest life, then you're going to give your body the best fuel, your temple the best fuel of what it deserves, what you deserve. So I think if you go along with this mindset, like, okay, does my body actually deserve this? Does it run on this type of food? What's going to serve me later rather than this quick, sense of gratification, really working on that delayed gratification? What is my body? What am I really deserving? You're deserving so much more than the Dorito or that sweet Starbucks beverage.
Right. It's easier said than done, but I think, again, it's to your point earlier, and again, it's easy to talk about that, but you have to do the inner work in order for the outer work to really show, right? You have to do the mind visualization, the de-stressing, there's a lot to it, but I think it's possible, and that's what's awesome about it, and that's what's awesome about what you guys are doing there at PhD, weight loss, is because you're trying to tackle all of it, and it looks like you guys are being successful doing it. So again, Dr. Ashley Lucas, thanks again. Where can people watch your program or listen to your podcast?
Yeah, great. My podcast and YouTube channel, it's called The Dr. Ashley Show. And then our weight loss program is at myphdweightloss.com.
Awesome. Dr. Ashley Lucas, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. All right, so it's always good to talk. You know, we talk MAGA, we talk America First, we talk MAHA, and we bring a lot of guests on here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So glad to have Dr. Ashley Lucas join us earlier just now. And then we'll get to President Trump's Truth Social post as well. I think this is the latest news of the day when it comes to what's happening out there in the Middle East. But before we do, let's go to this sponsor right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, you can go to the QR code, you can go to the app, you can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. If you're looking to bet or trade or just check out various polls, you can do that right there with Kalshi. More than 1 million people on that site. That number is growing, and it's great to just check out Kalshi even on X or wherever, just to see what the various questions that people are betting on or trading on, but also the polling when it comes to the mayoral race in Los Angeles or when it comes to a primary coming up in California, actually, June 2nd, and in Iowa and other states around the union. So if you'd like to check it out, there's 3 ways to get there. QR code on your screen, Kalshi, you can download the app or go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Also, let's go to this sponsor right there, Cove Pure, of course. You've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and also those water scares, remember Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, if they weren't enough to get you to make the switch, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with those PFAs in it, the man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists, they call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they just stay there. They don't break down. And then they're linked to hormone disruption or immune damage and increased cancer risk. So this is the part that is making a number of people upset out there because the EPA, they did their job. They set legal limits for these forever chemicals in drinking water back in 2024. But then the water systems around the country have up until 2031 to comply. It's a whole 5 years from now. And until that deadline arrives, the utility can actually be operating above the legal limit right now, and they're not required to notify you. So you're just drinking that tap water. And that's why every single household needs Cove Pure. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. Now, we did see within the 24/7 news cycle that the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin announced a $1 billion of grants or $1 billion grant for smaller communities to get rid of forever chemicals. But in the meantime, if you want clean, healthy water, you're just going to have to do it yourself because Cove Pure was engineered exactly for this. Unlike those normal pitcher filters you see at the store out there, their ClearWave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of the contaminants. So the forever chemicals, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, all that lovely stuff that tastes like you know what with the aftertaste of tap water. Well, this situation right here with Cove Pure, this is able to filter particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pure is they make it so easy. It sits right there on your countertop. Don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. Don't wait till 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And again, because you're a viewer of the network, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepure.com/RSBN. All right, so it's 3:18. Thanks again for joining us. We have a little bit to go before we're off the air. And what we will do is, if the president has an open press event, right now they're closed press for 3:30 for the executive signings. If it opens, we're here for it. Also, we know that the president spoke about Iran earlier and being in the Situation Room at the White House. So what we'll do is we're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side. And then what we'll do also is we're going to open up the chats. Let's see what everybody's saying out there on the interwebs. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, today is Flashback Friday. Before we go to Michigan really quickly, we're going to open up the chats here in just a second. But we do have a guest that actually is joining us right now. So with soaring gas prices and the ongoing war in Iran, Americans are wondering how they're going to afford everyday life. And this week, Energy Secretary Chris Wright said the Trump administration is open to all ideas to lower costs, including suspending the federal gas tax. So Diana Furchtgott-Roth is a leading voice on energy and economic policy, having served in senior roles in 4 presidential administrations. She joins us live right now. Thanks so much for joining us, Diana.
Great to be with you.
All right, let's talk about it. What are some of the ways that we can see prices go down? We know that President Trump just talked about that the Strait of Hormuz is now open, so it's kind of a fluid situation at this point. But how do you see it?
Well, first of all, I think before we talk about how prices are going down, I think we should talk about how they would be even higher if we were facing an Iran with a nuclear weapon. So I think that what President Trump is doing is the right thing to do. It's short-term pain for long-term gain. And we don't want Iran to get nuclear capabilities. We don't want it to be able to hold the world hostage. So we need to realize that this is short-term. Now, having said that, there are things that the government could do to lower gasoline prices. One of those is waiving these fuel rules, the boutique fuel rules that require different recipes of gas in different states. And you might ask, why is that important? Well, it would mean that if there's more gas in one state that's needed, it could go to another, even if that had a different recipe for fuel. And that is something that would help lower prices. But our environmental regulations right now don't allow that. Just as we waived the Jones Act, we could also be waiving what's called these boutique fuel requirements for each state.
That's interesting. So within the framework of the suspending of the federal gas tax, is that the same thing we're talking about here? Can you break that down for us?
No, it's different. Suspending the federal gas tax means that the federal government would get less money. Getting rid of these fuel requirements on a per state basis would mean that these states didn't have to do things that would make gasoline more expensive. For example, have a certain share of ethanol in the blend, or do things that would make the air cleaner. This would not be permanent, it would just be suspended. The federal government would still get its gasoline tax, but the price of gasoline would move down for that period of time. And if we suspended these all along, the price of gasoline would be permanently lower. Instead of which, we've done things to make gasoline prices higher by requiring a larger amount of ethanol in the gasoline than can be absorbed right now, meaning that these sellers of gasoline have to pay fines to the federal government if they don't comply. That raises the price of gasoline.
Definitely. Your thoughts right now about the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, within the Trump administration? You know, energy independence is one thing, of course, President Trump ran on. What's your assessment as, of course, you served, in senior roles, obviously, for 4 presidential administrations?
Chris Wright is doing a terrific job. We have one of the most qualified energy secretaries in history. He actually ran a company that got natural gas out of the ground called Liberty Energy. He published a book every year talking about the importance of fossil fuels and how they are linked to prosperity. So Chris Wright could not be doing a better job. He is talking about making America independent, using our own fossil fuels, using our centuries supply of natural gas, and getting us independent from China. All those people who want us to use renewables, well, guess who makes 70% of wind turbines, of solar panels, of EVs, of batteries? China. So that would be making us dependent on China, just like the EU was dependent on Russia for its natural gas. And we saw how that turned out. Russia cut off the spigot. China could cut off the spigot with us, leaving us totally helpless if we were to put all this solar and wind and EVs in place. As a result of President Trump, we're using our own resources, we're independent, we're exporting throughout the globe.
And then on top of that, we've always heard President Trump say, drill, baby, drill. And then we look at also, I remember the oil shale, the fracking in places like Colorado and around the country. Do you have any insight on maybe some of that going on throughout the nation?
Absolutely. That makes us better off. I mean, all you have to do is compare New York State and Pennsylvania. They both have this Marcellus shale. Pennsylvania is using its share of the Marcellus shale right under the New York border. New York State is not. It prohibits hydrofracturing. As a result, households in New York counties above the Marcellus shale are $27,000 a year poorer off than are their counterparts in Pennsylvania. Plus, New York State won't even allow a pipeline through it to get gas from the Marcellus shale to New England. So New England has higher prices, higher energy prices because of New York State. So, I mean, we can see that fracking helps. It lowers the price of energy. It gives us all the resources that we need, and households need lower energy bills.
Energy expert Diana Furchtgott-Roth, thank you again for joining us and your insight on this whole thing that we're seeing out there. Thank you again.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. All right, it's almost the bottom of the hour, Friday, May 29th. You know, it's good to get that insight on what's going on out there with gas prices and all, but let's do this. Let's go to President Trump's Truth Social post from the top of the broadcast, because this is one of the top news items of the day. Of course, the president having various policy meetings today and an executive order signing, all closed press at this hour. But shifting our focus to Iran, President Trump had this to say on Truth Social. Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately open, no tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. All water mines, bombs, if any, will be terminated. The president says we have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and/or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. President Trump saying ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families. For me, your favorite president. The president says the enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago, sitting on top of it will be unearthed by the United States, which, it is agreed, is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability of doing so, in close coordination and conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and destroyed. No money, the president says, will be exchanged until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Of course, that was around 10:51, as you saw there on the bottom of your screen. So we'll see what happens there. Is there any open press availability at the White House in regards to that? We'll see. And will the executive orders be pushed down the schedule? So we'll see what happens. Let's go to some sponsors in the meantime. Let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Of course, Americans are tired of being told to wait or jump through endless hoops just to access the medications they may already know they need. So if your health is your responsibility, why does it feel like someone else is always in control of it? That's why more people are just simply turning to All Family Pharmacy. Whether it's everyday maintenance medications, common antibiotics, or simply being prepared before travel or emergencies, All Family Pharmacy makes the process simple, fast, and secure. No crowded waiting rooms, no unnecessary hassle. Just a convenient way to order your medications online from a trusted U.S. pharmacy focused on helping families stay prepared. And the reality, of course, is shortages, delays, and emergencies, they all happen. But peace of mind, of course, can start with being proactive instead of reactive. So right now, when you visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, you'll save that 10% off. Just use that RSBN 10 promo code. Being prepared isn't extreme, it's common sense. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN 10 promo code at checkout here on Right Side. Let's also go to Birch Gold Group, specifically when there are those supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. You saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. We also know that gold is a limited commodity, and of course they mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. If you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, which is today, of course, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to that number you see there on your screen, 989898. Birch Gold can actually help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So text Trump to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for that first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. All right, that's a lot of information right there, but a lot of great sponsors, as you guys saw. All Family Pharmacy to Birch Gold Group, Cove Pure, Calci, MyPillow, all of the things right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's go now to a journalist and an author. Frank Miniter joins us right now. And sir, thank you so much for joining us. I understand you have a new book out there highlighting America 250 and other great historic moments in our country. Hello to you, Frank. And maybe he doesn't hear us right now. So let's do this. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back to RSBN Live. Thanks so much for joining us. I believe we may have a live picture in D.C. Maybe we could show that sometimes too. It's always good to see out there in Washington. You're seeing Washington right here, but always good to see a live picture as well. All right, before we get to our live interactions with you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, we look forward to hearing from you. We're actually reading from you, so we're going to do that here in just a second. But this is what I want you to think about as we get ready to go to a clip that we aired earlier in the broadcast. Of course, today is, Flashback Friday. We're going to go to Michigan, a couple years back where we were covering President Trump's rally live in Grand Rapids, and there was this political ad that was just awesome. So we're going to go to that clip here in a second. But what I want to talk about with you guys on the other side of this video is just let's talk about which rallies you've been to, or maybe what you're doing over the July 4th holiday. We're going to tone it down a little bit. Maybe I'll loosen the tie and we'll just, hang out for a few seconds as we get ready to do some interactions with you guys. So let's go back to Michigan. This is a great moment in time. 7 days after President Trump went through what he went through in Butler, Pennsylvania.
You can see the video right now. There's Mount Rushmore, awesome, awesome sight, and Rapid City, South Dakota. President Trump, this is one of the most powerful political ads that I've ever seen, showing the fake news. And of course, right there with all of the soldiers, with President Trump walking out. Awesome, awesome, powerful video. Obviously, looking at the border there, build the wall. We heard that chant earlier today outside of this arena.
We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with American pride swelling in our hearts and American courage stirring in our souls, I say these words to you tonight. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
What an awesome, awesome moment. There in Michigan. What a great speech that was by the president, by J.D. Vance, the vice president. And let's take a live look right now and go with specifically where you guys have been when it comes to the Trump rallies out there. I know a lot of you that watch here on the network have been to Trump rallies. So we're going to go to that here in just a second on the screen as I pull that up. So let's see if we get some people talking about the various things out there. I guess maybe it's a little bit on delay right now. So I think what we'll do is, while we're waiting for that, why don't we go to our live interview in the meantime? We'll go to Frank Miniter. He is joining us now live, who also recently wrote a book. Let's talk about that book, all about America 250 and some of our other great historic moments in our country. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, I wrote a book called Cool Heroes for Boys. And I started for my 13-year-old son. He's 13 now, because I was not happy with the heroes he was being fed, or the lack of heroes he was being fed. So I call him my best editor on the thing, because after I would read him a chapter, and if he wasn't blown away by it, wasn't teaching him what I wanted him to teach him, I'd go back to the drawing board until it got really exciting for him. I think boys need these exciting, real heroes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, America 250. I mean, I saw Hillsdale College just put out Revolutionary America, this great new documentary film that's open. I think it's only for 3 or 4 days in theaters. And to your point, let's really go there, because we know a good portion of the education system is woke, and they don't want to teach you anything about, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, President Trump, and then the list goes on, right? Paul Revere.
Yeah, Paul Revere, they've torn the statues down for a lot of these individuals, even George Washington tearing the statues down because they weren't perfect individuals. But I'm not a perfect individual. I don't think there is a perfect individual. But they were still heroes. They still did such big and bold things. I mean, people forget that George Washington had horses shot out from when he was 23 in the Battle of Bougainville, going back and forth, rallying the troops to change that, and then became the hero of our nation, of course. Or Paul Revere. People don't realize that his guns were actually taken away. That whole thing, the British coming out of Boston in 1775, in April 1775, to take the firearms from the local people. And then back in the city of Boston, then General Gage for the British actually seized the people's guns in Boston, but specifically seized Paul Revere's guns.
Speaking of Boston, I saw the video recently of the USS Constitution, that ship out there going out into the bay. It's just a kind of a cool scene. I saw the ship before in Boston, just docked, but now it's out there in the water. Pretty cool stuff. Let's talk about some of that kind of thing. I mean, obviously the Constitution is what it's all about here in this country. Let's talk about America 250 coming up in 36 days from today, when it's July 4th and we hear the music.
Yeah, I walked the Freedom Trail in Boston.
Okay, tell me about that.
With my son, and we went on the U.S. Constitution. And it's a cool old ship. You go down several floors in it, and it's all well preserved. And then you can climb up onto Bunker Hill, where people don't realize, too, there used to be a plaque there. They actually took the plaque down. The British actually bought the wrong cannon ammunition to fight, to retake Bunker Hill from the colonials who'd come in. That actually delayed them. It was a big part of the reason why the Americans had this big victory there, even though they already had the British bottled up in Boston at the time. But people forget these basic things about these battles.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at, let's go look at the Revolutionary War. I mean, 1775, when, of course, George Washington crosses the Delaware. It's that famous photo that we see out there. What are your thoughts on July 4th and 36 days from now when, you know, maybe it's God Bless America is playing from Lee Greenwood and the fireworks are going off? What will be some of your thoughts about this nation?
Well, those explosions are celebrations, and that smell of gunpowder. I have a mini cannon that I shoot at 4th of July. I love it. It's a little black powder cannon. It's fun. It's a reenactment, and it's a beautiful part of where this all came from. But right, it's the first shot heard around the world, April 1775. Now we're getting to a 250th of the Declaration of Independence being signed, first by John Hancock. It was actually weeks later before more people signed it. That's why Hancock actually signed with the big, bold signature, also to say to the British, look, here I am, come and hang me. I'm willing to be a traitor to fight for our freedom. That's forgotten today. That was a year before that happened, before the Declaration was signed. Shot heard around the world more than a year before that.
Exactly. And we actually played a video at the top of the broadcast, or at least within the hour. We may have a few minutes to play that again, all about the Declaration of Independence. Hillsdale College and the White House posting these videos. Great to see it during this time of year when it comes to celebrating our 250th. What would you like to say to those on Capitol Hill who may be delaying or just not really having a lot of momentum for passing the Save America Act? You know, simply voter ID, proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots unless it's necessary, that kind of thing.
Right, Americans fought and died for the freedom in the Declaration of Independence, to our U.S. Bill of Rights, of course, the first 10 Commandments, amendments, to our Constitution. We fought and died for it. We are citizens, and being a citizen does matter. It is important. People should have to show an ID to vote, so we keep this to the citizens. And God bless new citizens coming in. If they come in legally and there's a process for it, and I'm all for it. But it has to be just citizens who are voting, or we don't have a nation any longer. So it is important that Congress get behind this.
Exactly. So, and finally, sir, I know you're an author, but also I saw in your bio that you're a journalist. Can you talk to us about some of the things that you do write about, or is that something that's more of a kind of a thing that you do on the side?
No, I write about freedom full time. I'm an employee of the National Rifle Association, and I'm constantly writing about our Second Amendment freedoms. But I write a lot for Fox Opinion and for many other places. So if you Google me, you look, you'll find me. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I've written a lot of books. The new book is Cool Heroes for Boys, and it's 20 true tales of adventure, just for teens to get acquainted with our history. So no, look me up. It's all there.
And also on top of that, when it comes to the NRA, we've been to a couple of the NRA President Trump's rallies before. It's quite the rally there, and it's great to see people that are standing up and saying, you know what? Yes, we love our First Amendment, freedom of speech, but yes, we also love our Second Amendment. How important is that, the First and Second Amendment to our Constitution?
Well, you don't have one without the other. The second protects the first, and you use the first, hopefully then, to first protect the second. They go together. There are First and Second Amendments for a reason. They go right together. You lose one, and you do lose the other.
Amen. Frank Miniter, journalist and author. Thanks again for joining us here on Right Side. And where can people get your book? On Amazon?
Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Awesome. Frank, thank you again for joining us here on Right Side.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. 3:43, Friday, May 29th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Actually, let's go to MyPillow quickly first. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Of course, you can save up to 80% on the warehouse moving sale that's happening. And this has been a sale that's been going on for quite some time, but you know what? There is a lot of great quality products to be purchased there with MyPillow. Of course, a lot of you guys might already have some MyPillow products. Maybe you want to get some new products, or just check it out, peruse the site, see what's on there, as we are proud to have a sponsorship with MyPillow.com/RSBN. Same thing with All Family Pharmacy. This is all about an American independent pharmacy. I like American, I like independent, and if you need to get medications, this is a great spot right there, because Americans are tired of being told to wait or jump through endless hoops just to access the medications they may already know they need. So if your health is your responsibility, why does it feel like someone else is always in control? That's why more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy, whether it's everyday maintenance medications, common antibiotics, or simply being prepared before travel or emergencies. All Family Pharmacy makes the process simple, fast, and secure. No crowded waiting rooms, no unnecessary hassle, just a convenient way to order your medications online from a trusted U.S. pharmacy focused on helping families stay prepared.
Because the reality is shortages happen, delays happen, emergencies happen, and peace of mind starts with being proactive, of course, not reactive. And right now, when you visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, you'll get that 10% off at checkout. Just use the RSBN 10 promo code because being prepared isn't extreme, it's common sense. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. All right, guys, common sense, that's the way to be, right? For God, family, and country, every day of our lives here on this earth and for this country, passing the Save America Act, fighting for our freedom legally, lawfully, spiritually, all the things, that's what we're up to. And glad you're here with us here on Right Side. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so before we get to the clip where we're going to show that video from Hillsdale College and the White House, specifically the White House posting this, when it comes to the Declaration of Independence, I want to try one more time here. Let's try and interact once again with you guys online on the live chat. We did this the other day. Fun stuff. Great to see it. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about, again, first of all, I like to warm it up with where you guys watching from. So as the delay happens, where it takes a second for you guys to be able to hear what I'm saying, to be honest, it takes a few seconds. We'll get to that. And also, let's go over some of the various Trump rallies that you've been to. And will you be going to Washington, D.C. for Freedom 250? Of course, it's going to be quite the party there as our country turns 250 years young. All right, so let's see what people are saying on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're seeing people watching live from Michigan right now. And also, let's see if there's anybody else from Iowa. We've got two of you. Come on now, let's keep it going. I know we don't do this very often, but we're trying it out. I think it's kind of cool to do. How about this? Anybody want to talk about some of the things that we want to see for the rest of 2026? We have, of course, the midterms coming up. We have a lot going on here in this country. Let's see what else we have here. Great job, Matt and the RSBN crew. Our family is watching from Pulaski, New York, 40 miles north of Ann Arbor. Someone watching from New York City. So thanks again, guys, for watching here. One thing I was wondering the other day, too, is are you guys watching on your phone or are you watching on a TV? I'm just curious, or an iPad or a Surface. So if you want to share that information, are you watching on a TV? You have the big TV up in the living room, or are you just watching on the phone? What's going on? Just curious about that. Matthew Alvarez, hello from South Carolina, from Florida. Matthew Alvarez, I went to Wilder, New Jersey and MSG, both awesome. Everyone on our RSBN. Those rallies were huge, if you remember. The MSG one was huge, and so was that one out there in New Jersey. Oregon, Arizona, Pennsylvania. Hi, everyone Hi, everyone, all believers. Let's see what else we have here. Oceanside, California. I've been there. I remember going on an Amtrak train from Los Angeles to San Diego one time. Always great to check out various spots across the country, especially on train rides. Good stuff. How about New Jersey? Passion for freedom. I see someone from South Dakota. Of course, Mount Rushmore. I got to see that as well. That was pretty cool. And what are you doing for the 4th of July is a question that might be to me. Well, for the 4th of July, I may be going to D.C. That looks like what we'll be doing. So we'll have some of the coverage there. We'll let you know more about that as we share that information. Also watching from Massachusetts. All right, so home computer, phone. Tennessee, you're watching on your phone. A smartphone from the United Kingdom. A phone in my shop. I see you there, Dennis. How about the iPad, desktop? Very cool stuff. I was really curious about that because I usually watch on my phone, but the other day wanted to watch on the TV too when it comes to a replay. Georgia, iPad. Okay, very good stuff. All right, now that we got it warmed up, takes a second to get it all going. You know, the juice is flowing, right? All right, so question for you guys. Do you think that the Save America Act will actually pass? Yes or no? Is the Save America Act going to pass? Simply yes or no. Want to see what you guys have to say there. Mimi, they're saying blessings on your new baby. Thank you so much, guys. Watching from the Gulf of America. Also, no TV, that person says. So they're not watching from on a TV. People are watching from Denmark. Also from Alabama. Hello to you. Obviously, we are located in Alabama. It says, Matthew, how about a baby update? I won't say what the rest of it is. You guys can see what they're saying. Well, the baby's doing fine. He just turned a month yesterday. We also have a 1.5-year-old, so it's awesome being a dad. It is the best when it comes to just God, family, country. That's what we're about, of course. We see people talking about their phones and where they're watching from. New Jersey, Georgia, Texas. Let's see what else. Jacksonville, Florida. Watching while working. I see you, Dave. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay, so we're seeing the word yes. Now that's from, do you think the Save America Act will pass, yes or no? We're seeing a lot of yeses so far. The unfortunate thing right now, guys, is the momentum when it comes to specifically on Capitol Hill, the Save America Act. We're not seeing a lot of momentum for it to pass. Yes, President Trump and the team at the White House are saying stop playing games, pass the Save America Act, but unfortunately, we're just not seeing the momentum on Capitol Hill. So we'll just monitor it, and hopefully, even if right now, just for this few seconds we're talking about it, if just one senator or one congressman or woman sees it, maybe somebody could start getting the momentum going again, because we know that is a really, really big deal, of course, when it comes to our country. Also, someone watching on an Android, someone saying the Save America Act won't pass with Thune in the way. Other people say we need it, and we pray it does. Matthew, God bless you all. Thank you so much. Boots on HOC1. Yes, absolutely. Save America Act, that it's going to pass. Thune needs to go, people are saying. Nope. Someone says, Russell there says nope. And then they're also watching on their phone. So if you're just joining us right now, the few questions we were asking, where are you watching from? Are you watching on a phone or on your TV screen in the living room or the family room, or maybe if you have one in the kitchen? And then we were also asking about the Save America Act, if you think it would pass or not. We also talked about July 4th plans, that kind of thing. Let's see, is there one other question that can just come to me without even really thinking about it? Sometimes that's the way it is. You just let go in the mind and it'll pop in, but we'll see. Kentucky in the woods watching, hello. Sooner or later it will pass, no reason for it not to. Alabama is watching as well. So thanks again for live streaming in here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 3:53 Friday, May 29th. Just getting warmed up doing this. This is something, to be straight up with you guys, over the years in mainstream media, this is not something that I ever really did. But it's nice to do that. I like this. Jesus help us is what one person's saying. And a lot of the times it's always been on camera where we interact with you guys, at the Trump rallies and that kind of thing. But doing the live chat is kind of fun. I like it. God bless you, Matthew, and your family. Abundantly prosperous and successful. Right back at you guys. We can't afford to let the Democrats cheat again. Let's see what else. Some of these are funny too. Island Grove, North Central Florida. Thanks so much for watching there. Live right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so let me double check any stories going on right now. that are live and breaking. I don't see anything going on, but I do know that the president and the White House just posting promises made, promises kept, law and order restored. Great to see the National Guard there in Washington, D.C., and of course out there in Memphis, and even the governor, Landry, in Louisiana asking for the National Guard to be in New Orleans. I think that's something that would be great to happen in various cities across the country to have more safety. That's obviously a great thing. Let me double check a couple other things here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's see. Okay. There's some other questions we're looking at here. So the White House, of course, we're having that, or we're going to see the UFC fight on the south lawn of the White House. What do you guys think about that going on? Coming up June 14th, of course, that's President Trump's birthday. It's also Flag Day, so it's quite the day for that happening. And I heard some other people talking about this, Joe Rogan and others talking about what Dana White's been talking about when it comes to it being outdoors. How warm will it be for the fighters? Will there be bugs? Will there be fans to fan the bugs away? All sorts of things that people are talking about out there. This person, Kelly, saying, watch you all the time and love you. Right back at you. Thanks again for watching here. I see Oklahoma. I see someone saying they're watching from a computer, watching from Nevada. Yes, must, and that answer is to the Save America Act passing. Let's see what else. Let's do a few more. I'll do 3 more of the live chats right now that we're seeing here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And again, you guys are our bread and butter. Why? Because you're just like me in the sense of we're all we the people that love God, family, country. We want to see our country have freedom forever until the return of Jesus, right? So great to interact with you guys. And we the people, a government of, by, and for, right there, as you guys see on this screen right there. This is what it's all about, hearing from you guys. DJT is going to look great on Mount Rushmore. Michael says that. Watching from Foley, Missouri. Great guests that we don't see elsewhere. That's nice of you to say. Deport the crybaby protesters to Gaza. That's Danny01 saying that. Ambiguity, how about we have a very funny crew of patriots here, Bootson saying that. So anyway, just reading what I'm seeing online there. Hi everyone on Rumble as well. All right, so fun stuff here on Right Side. It's the bottom of the hour. As of right now, what we're looking at is the fact that President Trump has a number of policy meetings going on today, and also he has the executive orders that he is signing. However, both are closed to the press at this hour. Let's finalize or end the broadcast right now with the following. President Trump's Truth Social post when it comes to him in the Situation Room. He said, quote, Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately open. No tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. President Trump saying all water mines, bombs, if any, will be terminated. We have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and/or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. President Trump says, say hello to your wives, husbands, and parents and families from me, your favorite president. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago, sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the United States, which it is agreed is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability of doing so, in close coordination and conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and destroyed. President Trump says no money will be exchanged until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. President Trump saying this several hours ago, that I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. All right. A lot of talking there. It's all good. Love doing it. Love having you guys with us. And maybe we'll give you some RSBN swag and gear next time we do some interactions. We'll figure out how that's all going to work. before we wrap our broadcast, let's do this. There's one more Flashback Friday. And Director, I believe it's the one with 3 clips from President Trump. You know, in these Flashback Friday segments right now, President Trump was actually talking about no voter ID and how that's just laughable. So let's play that, and I'll be right back.
The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024.
No voter ID. Why won't they approve voter ID? We want to have. Why? The only reason they won't approve voter ID is because they want to cheat. There's no other reason.
With your support, on Monday, January 15th, we're going to win the Iowa caucuses in a historic landslide. We're going to crush crooked Joe Biden. We're going to crush crooked Joe. Next November, we're going to make America great again in the most important election in the history of our country.
All right, so some Flashback Friday moments with President Donald J. Trump. If you'd like the interactions to keep on going, follow us on Right Side Broadcasting Network on Truth Social at RSBN, also at RSB Network on X. If you'd like to follow me on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez, and on X, it's at Matthew US Media. Interacting with you guys, very fun, very cool to see that you guys are watching from all across the country, including out there in the UK and Denmark. And I was always curious. I didn't know how you guys always watch the different programs that we do here. And a lot of you watch on your phone like most people do, it seems like, out there. But if you're watching on the big screen, thanks for doing that too. The traditional way, the old school way. This all brought to you by MyPillow.com/RSBN. Just go to MyPillow.com/RSBN. Save up to 80% on that warehouse moving sale. So get some of these great quality products. My family and I, we have a ton of them. I need to get some more of the My Coffee, though. I'll tell you what, because we have some. Actually, it's right here. I've showed this to you before, but let me show it to you again as I'm dropping things left and right in the studio. This is the My Coffee. I like Saturday mornings with a cup of joe, like most people do, I guess. Anyway, MyPillow.com/RSBN. If you'd like to donate to Right Side, just go to RSBNetwork.com/donate. All right, guys, if there is any breaking news, we'll be here for it. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, have a great weekend. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll talk to you later.